Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Well done, OP. Almost by default, you are not the a-hole when dealing with MLM degenerates, but in this case, you're absolutely right. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Yelled at my neighbor for hounding me about her MLM. Okay, I'll try to make this short. I have a 9-year-old daughter who's suffered with health problems her entire life. We're always in and out of hospitals. My next-door neighbor has recently begun selling these vitamin supplements or something. I personally hate multi-level marketing schemes, and I'm so freaking sick of them that I don't even entertain them anymore. I always reply no to those virtual party invitations. I'm never outright rude about it, but I just don't feel comfortable supporting MLMs. I think they're predatory and make their money by banking on people not being able to say no to their friends. Anyway, she's been bugging me for quite a long time about buying some of her supplements. She usually catches me on my way to get the mail or take out the garbage, and I've always very politely told her no thank you. Yesterday, my husband and I were on our way to take our daughter to the hospital, and she caught us in the driveway. She came up to us and asked how our daughter was doing, expressed her sympathies that our daughter needed another procedure, and then once again tried to pitch us her stupid vitamins. Once again, I told her no. She got super persistent and kept on asking why. I was trying to be polite, so I told her that money was tight right now, especially with all of our daughter's hospital bills. She then had the nerve to say, well, imagine how much you would save on hospital bills if you would just give your daughter these supplements. At this point, my husband was in the car with our daughter, so he didn't hear her comment, but he did hear me start to scream at her. How dare she trivialize my daughter's medical issues like that? I'm not comfortable talking about my daughter's medical history on here, but please know that it's not something that can be fixed with vitamins. So I told her to take her stupid MLM vitamin supplements and shove them right up her butt. My husband thinks I overreacted, should have just politely told her no again and left it at that. He says I made things super awkward for us since she's our neighbor. He wants me to apologize, but I think that she's the one who should be apologizing. I told her no, not once, not twice, but at least 15 times, and she's still hounding me. And then she had the nerve to bring my daughter's medical issues into it. And our second story. In the Garden of Idiots, stories from working in a garden center. This was going to be a short post, but once I started, it seemed to open some mental floodgate that's been holding back all these stories for years. Everything just came flooding out. Garden centers are a weird kind of halfway house between a shop and a day out. We get quite a lot of people who come in just to have a nose around the plants and to soak up the atmosphere, as though the garden center is Angkor Wat or the Taj Mahal. You, as an employee, of course, enjoy this amazing atmosphere as much as they do and are quite happy to stop what you're doing for an hour to talk about how nice a day it is to mull around doing nothing. Yes, the garden center is a pleasant place to work. I've certainly had worse jobs, but since I see it every day, I'm no more enthused by it than you are about being in your kitchen. The trip-like nature of the garden center also means that parents see the outdoor space as a giant playground to let their kids run riot whilst they sit in the cafe and tut at stories about bad parenting in the Daily Mail. If you water their child because they're hiding under a bench full of perennials, it's of course a reflection of your incompetence, not their choice to allow their child to run around a place of business. You also get many epic cases of customer crawl, a phenomena I'm sure most retail staff are familiar with, where customers walk down the middle of an aisle very slowly, meandering from side to side in such a way as to prevent you from walking past in a way that wouldn't be rude. They rarely, if ever, notice you, of course, or anyone else for that matter, and will blithely wander into other customers like a pinball table smothered in glue. And if they do notice you, you can be sure they'll get out of your way by moving into the way of where you are going and grinning at you like a mentally challenged dog who thinks they've just done you a favor by crapping in your shoe. Sometimes you can be caught out by the sheer stupidity of some questions. A garden center, being a rather specialized kind of retail outlet, is the sort of place you go to only when you already know what you need, or at least have a rough idea, allowing you to inform the staff of your needs so they can advise you. On several occasions, I've been asked if we sell plants. My favorite, because it fell into the rarely seen gap between total incompetence and knowing something about what you want, was a woman who came up to the counter and said, "Hello, I need to get some compost." Okay, what type of compost do you need? There being different kinds for different types of plants, containers, etc. I don't know. Okay, what kind of plants will you be planting in it? Just normal ones? Okay, so how about just normal multi-purpose? Yes, that sounds fine. And how much do you need? Well, it's to go in a couple of pots. Okay, what sort of size pots are they? Just pot-sized pots. We sell pots ranging in size from 0.1 liters to 100 liters, so to get an idea of what size she needed, I took the customer out to the area where the pots are and asked her to point to the ones about the same size as her ones. Eventually, we got the amount of compost she needed loaded into a trolley and went back to the till. Whilst ringing her compost through the till, she said, "This compost will be all right for plants, won't it?" Some people I suspect of being stooges sent in by my employer to annoy me. "Hello, I'm looking for vegetables." "Are you looking for vegetable plants or vegetable seeds, or do you want fresh vegetables from the farm shop?" "Just the ones you can eat." "Okay, so fresh vegetables then." "They're through to the right in the farm shop." "And what time of year do you plant them?" At this moment, one of the gardeners walked past. "Mike, would you mind giving this customer some advice on planting vegetables?" Mike didn't speak to me for the rest of the day. It's the phones that get me, though. Every day, every single day. "Hello? Garden Center? How may I help you?" "Oh, hello. Are you open today?" "No, sir. I just come in when the shop's closed to tell people over the phone that we're closed." I'm going to stop now before I lose patience with my computer trying to change center into center every 5 minutes and break something. And our next story. Go back to your home country. Story. All right, guys, here's a story from the previous job at the mall. At my last job, I worked with a lady from the USSR. She had come to America 15 years previously and had become a citizen. I loved her as a person. Hated her as a coworker. She was aggressive. She spoke decent English, though her grammar was off and she had a thick accent. When the manager was out, I was the manager in charge because we didn't have assistant managers. Whatever, corporate. We had received a phone call earlier in the day from a disgruntled guest. I can't remember what exactly was going on, but she was coming in and we needed to be aware. She approaches the counter and my coworker, let's call her Olga, greets her and asks if she needs any help. The lady then begins to lay into her for seemingly no apparent reason. After a few moments, I hear something that causes my ears to perk up. "I do not know your issue, ma'am. Let me ask my manager," she states. "Why? Do you not understand? If you don't understand English, go back to your home country. This is America." I walk over, gently nudge Olga away, and step out in front of the lady to receive the line of fire. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave because you've made a derogatory comment towards my consultant. She's a citizen of the United States and has every right to be here as you do. And I don't appreciate you treating her like she's less than human," I state blankly. "You don't know what's been going on. I want to speak to your manager. This is ridiculous. I want to talk to a manager. You can't ask me to leave for telling it how it is." She stamps her foot and crosses her arms. Her face begins to turn red, and I could almost see the devil horns being pushed out of her forehead from being so strained. "Ma'am, I'm the manager on duty. In the state of blank, I have the right to refuse service to anyone. I've asked you to leave. Please leave, or else I'll call security. I will relay your issue to corporate so they can figure out how to help you, but I will not tolerate discrimination of my employees by guests." She continued to huff and puff for another minute, and I grabbed the phone and dialed security. "What are you doing?" she screams. I tell security I need help at my store and hang up. "Ma'am, security's been called. Please leave or else you'll be escorted." "No, I haven't gotten my issue resolved." "Well, ma'am, you attacked my employee right out of the gate. As of now, the way you treated my employee, I can't help you. Unless you're Native American, you have no room to talk about who deserves to be here, and I refuse to allow your issue to be resolved in my store if you're going to treat us that way. So please leave the store. I will forward your issue to corporate." She looked at me shocked. I was seeing red. It was taking everything within me not to scream obscenities at her. "Fine. I'll call corporate and tell them how horribly I've been treated here." I'll never shop here again. As she storms off, I respond with a smile and cheery voice, "Have a day, ma'am." I called corporate after and explained the situation. Her issue was forwarded to the next closest store and resolved there. My manager stood behind me, but my DM did not, and I ended up getting reprimanded. And our last story. I got fined by an HOA that I'm not a part of. My mother-in-law is the president of her Condo Owners Association. Back in January, she ended up in the hospital for emergency surgery and was now in the ICU for a few weeks recovering. She's fine now. During this period, there was going to be some work done to a few of the units, and the maintenance guy needed the keys from the association. They were all in my mother-in-law's condo. It happened to be on my way home from work, so I said I would get them the keys. While I'm there, I discovered that the tumbler in her doorknob completely comes out of the knob, generally ruining the point of having a lock. I hit the hardware store down the street, get a new lock set, swap it out, and call it a day. On the next hospital visit, I give her the keys and the extra copies I'd made. Good, great, grand. The next week, I'm stopping by her condo to get mail and water plants. The maintenance guy sees I'm there and brings back the association keys to put back in mother-in-law's safe. Commented that he tried to do it earlier, but her key didn't work. I explained the situation. He's a nice guy, nods his head, but gave me a heads up that he had told the VP of the board about it and said I should call him. I do. Guy explains that it's association policy that the association always has a copy of the key for the units in case of emergency, etc. I listen, explain, and say that mother-in-law, the president, has all the copies, so technically the association does have a copy. Plus, it's an extenuating circumstance. VP is having none of it. I'm there a few days later to do mail and plants again when the maintenance guy knocks on the door. He's the messenger, but needs to issue me a fine, $75. I thought it was a joke, but he hands over a letter saying that since I changed the lock set, I'm at fault. I took the letter, which asked for my official mailing address and SSN for their records in case of default on payment. It all ended up getting resolved, and because mother-in-law was already in a world of crap following surgery, I didn't make a stink of it. But the effing balls on the VP when he got a second of power. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.